How many people, not random people, just everyday people without a public facing job, been fired because of their opinions about Charlie Kirk? It doesn't mean that I agree with the opinions that are stated. It doesn't mean anything like that. But that is not the way this country is supposed to function. And I agree. In a sense, it's not about free speech at all, in that there's no question or concern at all about free speech or censorship here, right? Roseanne said outrageous things and her employer fired her, period. I could be hurt by the same tactics that are hurting Laura Ingraham, but I can't be a hypocrite. Come on. I am no hypocrite. I have the exact same standard for her as I do for me. And I would have to deal with the consequences if I said something really offensive and people lobbied my advertisers to drop the show.
What an absolute joke, man. Today we have Mr. Cancel Culture himself, and paid Democratic shill, David Pakman, getting upset about the indefinite suspension of Jimmy Kimmel's late night show, going on to describe the situation as a dark day for America, and another example of right-wing cancel culture. Never mind the fact that the guy's suspension lasted about a week, but David Pakman trying to pin cancel culture as a primarily right-wing thing just rings so damn hollow. Like, it's just so absolutely absurd coming from a man that has supported more canceling and advertiser boycotts than pretty much anyone I have ever seen.
It truly pains me to start today with a story that really points to such a dark time in the United States of America. Jimmy Kimmel's program on ABC has been indefinitely suspended. And it's been indefinitely suspended because of the following 60 seconds related to the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving.
Now, I want to put aside for a second that these are the people who told us they are against cancel culture. These are the people who told us that opinions shouldn't lead people to lose their jobs or comedy shouldn't lead people to lose their jobs. I want to put aside the double standard of it. You know why? Because this political movement doesn't give a damn about double standards. Well, do you care about the foundation that this country was built on? Do you have the ability and the confidence to say, I can give opinions, I can do what the First Amendment is supposed to grant me the right to do without being worried about frivolous lawsuits, firings, etc., or don't I? How many people, not random people, just everyday people without a public facing job, been fired because of their opinions about Charlie Kirk? It doesn't mean that I agree with the opinions that are stated. It doesn't mean anything like that. But that is not the way this country is supposed to function.
Nothing that is happening here is new. You guys have literally been doing this for years. And what's just so ironic about all this is that a lot of these guys are trying to use this bit, oh, the right is going to regret this because eventually it will come for them. It's like, brother, what fucking planet have you been living on? And Mr. David Pakman has been one of its biggest supporters. This guy has supported canceling countless people in even successful TV shows. He actually thinks he could rewrite history, but I think he forgot the internet never forgets.
In what I think is a hilarious but also correct turn of events, Roseanne Barr's reboot of her sitcom, Roseanne, has been canceled by ABC just hours after she tweeted just a horribly racist string of messages. Yesterday, Roseanne posted a comment about former Obama advisor Valerie Jarrett on Twitter, saying, Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby equals VJ, meaning Valerie Jarrett. And Roseanne later deleted the tweet, but it was too late. Just hours later, ABC canceled Roseanne's show. They put out a statement which said in part that, quote, Roseanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values, and we have decided to cancel her show. And I agree. In a sense, it's not about free speech at all, in that there's no question or concern at all about free speech or censorship here, right? Roseanne said outrageous things and her employer fired her, period. She doesn't need the money. She's worth like $80 million. And my only real concern is that she has really messed things up for the entire production staff at ABC, right? The people running the cameras, the people doing the tech work, they don't have $80 million like Roseanne. Do they lose their jobs now because of Roseanne's racist tweet? But I think it was a big win in the battle of ideas, Pat. I mean, listen, everybody got to say what they wanted to say. A corporation was able to make the business decision that they felt was right for them. Government didn't interfere, period, right? I mean, a major win in the battle of the free exchange of ideas. How many people, not random people, just everyday people without a public-facing job, been fired because of their opinions about Charlie Kirk? It doesn't mean that I agree with the opinions that are stated. It doesn't mean anything like that. But that is not the way this country is supposed to function. They made a business decision. That is exactly what it is. If this were good for business, if people weren't outraged, but they said, you know what? It's so great that someone's finally out there saying that Valerie Jarrett is like a monkey in some way. They wouldn't have fired her, right? They would have said, hey, Roseanne said what she wanted to say on her Twitter. We employ her to produce the Roseanne show or act in the Roseanne show, whatever. This is merely all about optics.
Hilarious, but correct turn of events, you say. A big win in the battle of ideas, you say. So, let me get this straight. It's good when Roseanne's show, that had an average of 20 million viewers in its comeback season, got axed because she said some lady looked like she was out of Planet of the Apes. But it's a dark day for democracy when Jimmy Kimmel got indefinitely suspended for saying the right was trying everything they can to paint the killer as left-wing. Mind you, this guy's show raked in a whopping 129,000 viewers in the key demographic in its last month. So, somehow, Mr. Pacman is describing Roseanne getting her show canceled as a good business decision, but somehow saying Kimmel being canceled is a dark day for America? You say Roseanne said outrageous things and her employer fired her. Simple as that. Why can't that just be said the same for Kimmel? It's like, think about it. Why would the network want to take heat for a show that is completely unprofitable and always has been, and can barely draw in 100,000 viewers in its key demographic? The juice simply isn't worth the squeeze if you think about it. And this is far from the only example of this guy supporting this. This guy has done this countless times. Like when he supported the Advertiser boycott of Laura Ingraham for probably the most stupid and petty Twitter fight I have ever seen in my life.
She tweeted, or he tweeted rather, that he had been rejected from 4 universities and that Ingraham accused him of whining about it. And Laura Ingram's tweet about this was David Hogg rejected by 4 colleges to which he applied and whines about it. Dinged by UCLA with a 4.1 GPA, totally predictable given acceptance rates. And David Hogg tweeted back calling for a boycott of Laura Ingram's Advertisers, saying, so Ingram Angle, Laura Ingram, what are your biggest advertisers asking for a friend, hashtag boycotting Graham adverts. And many of those companies have announced we're not going to advertise with Laura Ingram anymore. And people started tweeting to me saying, David, don't you defend free speech? Shouldn't Laura Ingram be allowed to say whatever it is that she wants? Why is she being persecuted and punished for what she said? And of course, this is a very common misunderstanding of free speech. Laura Ingram is free to say whatever she wants, wherever she wants to say it, but free speech doesn't mean that there can be no consequences to that speech. How many people, not random people, just everyday people without a public-facing job, been fired because of their opinions about Charlie Kirk? It doesn't mean that I agree with the opinions that are stated. It doesn't mean anything like that. But that is not the way this country is supposed to function. Ingram has free speech rights to say what she wants. Every single Fox News viewer, Twitter user, can react to that speech by saying I like it or I don't like it, or I'm going to lobby her advertisers to stop advertising on her show. That is them utilizing their free speech. Now, then people could come to me and say, but David, someone could unfairly target the David Pakman show's advertisers, including your new ones like Shaker and Spoon and Brilliant, whoever else? And my answer would be, that's right, they could. I can say whatever I want. My viewers can say whatever they want to my advertisers, and my advertisers can also use whatever information is important to them to say we are or aren't going to advertise on the David Pakman show. That is how it works. No one's free speech is being violated. Well, do you care about the foundation that this country was built on? Do you have the ability and the confidence to say, I can give opinions, I can do what the First Amendment is supposed to grant me the right to do without being worried about frivolous lawsuits, firings, etc., or don't I? I could be hurt by the same tactics that are hurting Laura Ingraham, but I can't be a hypocrite. Come on, I am no hypocrite. I have the exact same standard for her as I do for me, and I would have to deal with the consequences if I said something really offensive and people lobbied my advertisers to drop the show. In the same way, we have advertisers. Someone could, if they wanted, go to our advertisers and say, I won't support you if you continue to advertise with David Pakman. Now, I'm guessing most advertisers would say, David Pakman hasn't said anything discriminatory or racist or xenophobic. We don't know why we would pull our ads from David Pakman. Lobbying companies not to advertise or to advertise on whatever show is a form of speech. It's protected 100%. It's 100% fine. I think it's great when activism has an impact, and it has had an impact through ad boycotts.
So advertiser boycotts are just free speech and activism being effective, eh? And you say you have no problem with people going after your advertisers, but you suspect they won't succeed because you haven't said anything bad. Well, what about that time exactly that happened?
The right-wing hate mob that has been unleashed against me by Donald Trump Jr. and Candace Owens and others. Listen, I'm a big boy. I can take comments on Twitter, right? But they are going after our advertisers, and they actually are succeeding to some degree. Some advertisers have already canceled. They don't know what's going on. They're just getting thousands of emails from people on the right who don't even watch this show, but have been weaponized by people like Don Jr. and Candace Owens over my tweet regarding the Nashville shooting, wherein I was blaming those who offer only thoughts and prayers and nothing else. Now, as I've said before, it is a fine legal tactic to use to go to a show's advertisers and say, you shouldn't advertise with this person. It was a tactic that was used in the past with Tucker Carlson, etc. But use it when it's appropriate. And what is happening right now, and we have examples of this. I'm not going to put a ton of them up, but if you look on Twitter, all of these right-wing and white nationalist accounts are listing sponsors and then contacting the sponsors and saying, these aren't my viewers, nor are they customers of these brands, but they are saying, you got to drop David Pakman. Now, we are doing everything we can to explain to them, these aren't our viewers and these aren't your customers. This is a concerted effort. In fact, even Candace Owens is leading this effort to some degree.
What was this all about the right being hypocrites again? Brother, you are an absolute joke. You can try and rewrite history all you want, saying cancel culture is a right-wing thing. But we just have so much evidence of you loving this, and you saying it's a good thing. We have it coming straight from your mouth, dude. You're out here saying this is good, this is effective, and it's just people practicing free speech. But as soon as you put your foot in your mouth and the same thing comes for you, all of a sudden, it's being improperly used to hurt you financially. I thought you said that right-wing boycotts weren't effective.
The First National Bank of Omaha, of which I am a customer, also tweeting, customer feedback has caused us to review our relationship with the NRA. As a result, First National Bank of Omaha will not renew its contract with the National Rifle Association to issue the NRA Visa card. That's going to be a big hit, right? The gun nuts really like having their NRA credit card that they can use everywhere. This is good. Okay, these public shame campaigns are very effective. It was effective against Breitbart. We covered that over the last year and a half. And this happened because people like you, went online, they found a list of the partnerships that different companies have with the NRA, and they started tweeting at those brands saying, drop the association with the NRA. So we do have some silver linings here, that some of the good boycotts seem to be working and some of the bogus right-wing boycotts seem to be failing.
He said it himself. This is good. Public shame campaigns are good. Cancel culture is awesome, apparently. And only good boycotts end up being effective. I think we've pretty clearly established that David Pakman loves this. And he has for literally years. This guy has been a vocal supporter of this for at least the last 8 years. But watch as he tries to say that the right saying cancel culture is left-wing rings very hollow.
MAGA cancel culture is here, despite a decade of MAGA saying it is the left that cancels. Trump has sued ABC over George Stephanopoulos, led to a multi-million-dollar settlement. Paramount ended up choosing to settle a lawsuit over the 60 Minutes interview of Kamala Harris, paying $16 million. They said this is a defensive legal move. And now Stephen Colbert's anti-Trump Late Show has been canceled, and they are retiring the franchise. Now, the claim from MAGA circles is that cancel culture is a left-wing thing, but that's very hollow. Their version of silencing dissent is to sue and to settle and to starve the opposition financially. So first of all, what happened here with Stephen Colbert? Colbert had called the Paramount settlement with Trump a bribe. And just days later, CBS pulls the plug on Colbert. People started tweeting to me saying, David, don't you defend free speech? Shouldn't Laura Ingraham be allowed to say whatever it is that she wants? Why is she being persecuted and punished for what she said? And of course, this is a very common misunderstanding of free speech. Laura Ingraham is free to say whatever she wants, wherever she wants to say it, but free speech doesn't mean that there can be no consequences to that speech. But the template that we are seeing is you sue a network over coverage you don't like. You settle with a payout if you can get an apology or a note or some kind of correction. You go with it. You drive pressure through these pending corporate deals like Paramount and the Skydance merger. And then you end up getting your critics either canceled or marginalized. This is the real cancel culture. It's on the right.
Ah, yes, so hollow indeed. Isn't it kind of hilarious that this guy's big 3 examples are probably the worst examples you could come up with in terms of right-wing cancel culture? Like, there's actually plenty of instances you can bring up that are good examples, but George Stephanopoulos being sued for saying Trump is a convicted rapist in the case of E. Jean Carroll, that batch crazy lady that said rape was sexy? Or how about 60 Minutes settling the lawsuit over the Kamala Harris interview for millions of dollars because they didn't want their malicious editing proved in court? And then his final example of the Stephen Colbert show that was losing literally millions and millions of dollars every single season. I guess good business decisions are all of a sudden not business decisions anymore when it's a left-wing person being axed. Bro, what in the hell do you mean the right saying cancel culture is primarily left-wing rings very hollow? Stop acting like you haven't been in love with this for the past 10 years. This is actually just sad, man. This is so utterly transparent what you're trying to do here. This attempt to rewrite history is actually insane. Especially when this guy just has countless examples of him supporting cancel culture over the last 10 years, just sprawled all over his channel. Like, brother, if you want to rewrite history, you should at least delete the evidence first. All right, guys, I said my bit. Hope you guys liked the video, and if you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And if you want to see more content like this, YouTube thinks you're gonna like this video right here.